Welcome to Our Schools, Our City, our very first show of 2019-20. We left off, we had a wonderful summer, lots of great activities and enrichment for our students. We had over 1,500 students participating across the city in our different programs. It really was a great summer of learning.
It was.
And now we come back, and it'd be just like that. It's a couple weeks in now, and it feels as if we're hit the ground running, and our students are smiling and happy to be back, and our staff are thrilled. So today is one of my favorite days because it's a day that we meet and begin to orient ourselves with new staff. And today we have some really interesting folks who have joined us in a variety of capacities, and we're dying for you to meet them today. So
That's
Susana,
right.
Would you like to?
Absolutely. It's been a really great start to the school year, hasn't it?
It's been great.
There's been some really highs and some kind of tricky parts, but I think we're doing pretty good navigating.
That's right.
Navigating the landscape.
That's right.
So as you mentioned, today we've got 4 guests that are either new to the district or in new roles, and we're excited to hear a little bit about them and kind of their journey into education. First, we'll start with Chad Mazza, who is a familiar face in our district, but is in a new role. He is the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment. Thanks for joining us,
Happy
Chad.
to be here.
And next to him is Rebecca Granger, and Rebecca is a Superintendent Fellow from the Harvard Graduate School of Education. We're happy to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for asking.
And 2 new faces to our district are Obed Morales, who is the principal of the East Somerville Community School. We're happy to have you here, Obed.
It's an honor and a privilege.
Thank you. And John Braga, who is the assistant principal at the Argenziano School. Thanks for joining us.
Great to be here.
That's great. And so just to warm everybody up, we'll start with just talking a little bit about where you're coming in from and joining us. And in your case, Chad, you're switching roles, going from a building principal into the district.
Sure.
And so maybe just tell our audience a little bit about yourself, your history, and what kind of brings you into this new role in the district, how you came upon it.
Okay, so I came to Somerville in 2012 as principal of Winter Hill Community Innovation School. Actually, it was the first year that the school became an innovation school. Mm-hmm. So I spent 7 great and privileged years there. Very fortunate, to have worked in that building. I've worked in the district. I think one of the highlights for us as a school in 2017, we won the Posen Prize,
Right.
Which was an incredible award for the staff because their work was now being recognized outside of Somerville and the greater Boston area. Mm-hmm. And for me, the switch, it's been interesting. It's different than what I'm used to. I'm used to opening up schools and being with kids for the past 14 years I was a principal. But fortunately, we have high school students in our building, so it kind of helped ease me into the school year. But I'm really excited about the equity mission that we are on. And I say mission because we're weaving it into the fabric of everything we do on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. And if you think about a school mission, it's what schools do every day, and that's what we're doing as a district. So looking forward to, working through that mission.
It's been great having you in the new role. As a colleague, I've really enjoyed watching the transition and getting to learn from you.
Thank you.
So I'm glad to have you in our building.
I'm enjoying it.
And as you think about having been a building principal every day, going in with a defined community, what's been a couple of the key differences for you in maybe describing what you do now as the CAO for the district? Sure.
So, as a building principal, we're kind of in a silo in our buildings, and one of the exciting things for me is being able to get out in all the schools. Right. And to see the wonderful things that are happening, talk with parents, talk with students, talk with staff, in different buildings. And I will tell you, and I said this the other day at Cabinet, we have a respect for what the district does as principals, but we have no idea the scope of the work
Right.
that happens. And I have a much deeper respect for the work that is done at the district level.
That's great. That's great. And Rebecca, this is the 3rd year for the audience that we participated with Harvard and have had a Harvard Fellow. And I can honestly say it's just been a wonderful pipeline of talent into the district. Just incredible, folks who are just incredible thinkers with a great dedication to public education, and that certainly is you. So it's been wonderful just to be around and like get a grasp into your thinking of systems thinking up here and then concrete thinking down here within the schools. And so maybe just tell the audience a little bit about your background and how you came into the fellowship.
Sure, and thank you for that, Mary. So I actually started in education in the classroom. I was a high school science teacher for, 10 years in Colorado Springs.
Wow.
And focused in the life sciences, so the biology and AP biology. And my favorite, I think, was the molecular genetics class that they let me teach, which was amazing. I loved it. And when I transitioned out of the classroom, I actually joined the Institute for Learning out of the University of Pittsburgh. And the idea there is to bring together practitioners and researchers to help translate research into things that can be used in the classroom and in professional development. And my main focus there is talking about student voice through a content lens, and also the idea that intelligence is a social construct, and so how do we shift that within classrooms to make bigger change? And from there, it took me, when you start to get that itch of now it's time to get back into a school and a district full time, which brought me to the program here at Harvard, which is an education leadership program and a partnership between the Ed School and Business and Kennedy to try and make well-rounded leaders. One of the things that I've loved while being there is I think before I had a strong instructional focus, but it's so important to me that all of the surrounding sectors and the idea of collective impact for actually moving students forward. And Somerville is a beautiful example of bringing so many different sectors together to try and provide students with a full, rich experience. So when you agreed to have me here, I mean, I was already standing outside the door with my bag just in case you said yes, but I was ready to jump into the district.
That's great.
We're pretty blessed because you, in a very short time, have just shown what a deep thinker you are from both your experience and your ability to think and folded right in. It feels like you've been here for years. So it's a pretty great start. So, and then Obed, my first opportunity of interviewing with Principal Morales, I could feel his passion for kids. And I thought, this is the type of person that we want to be able to have at East Somerville, who really keeps students at the center and makes all of his decisions by what's right for the students. And you have a wealth of educational background.
Thank you, Mary, and again, thank you for having me, believing in me. My background in education is, family of educators. My father was a 17-year high school principal in Puerto Rico. I have a sister here in the Boston area that's has roots going back to '98. My wife has been teaching for 28 years. And myself, I was a lateral entry teacher, came in as a 30-year-old from the private sector. Always putting education, the K-12 world. I was thinking, I'm never going to be in there. My dad used to say, you're going to be a teacher, you're going to be a teacher. And I was always resisting. And
Parents always know, right?
And that's exactly right. He had an idea where I was, and it's ironic enough that I'm in the role that he was in for so many years. And I remember when you interviewed me also that I was in the role for 9 years, the last 9 years as an assistant principal, and you said there's a transition when you're in the principal seat. You can't turn to the left or the right. You have to have the decision. In the last 10 days, that's come to fruition. So it's a great community. I am honored and privileged to be here. Like I said before, what a welcoming community. I can say that with all honesty. This is my third school district, my third state in K-12, and I've learned along the way and in my path from the classroom as a math teacher in middle and high school. Students are the center of the core of where I'm at. I have two grown kids that are still students because they're in graduate school. Sooner or later they'll leave daddy and mommy's pockets. So we hope. The idea here is that that's what drives me every day. I was mentioning to Rebecca earlier before we started taping that what drives me every day is the passion to come to school. I don't come to work. I come
Right.
to school every day. And that lights me up. The summer was great, getting to know the community, getting to know Somerville Public Schools, but I couldn't wait for the start of the school year. Because seeing kids in the classroom, seeing them in the hallways, in the recess, seeing them in the cafeteria, seeing them in what lights their eyes up when they walk into the building, that's exciting. So thank you for having me. Thank you for believing in me.
Absolutely.
And there really is a very different energy as soon as students get back to the schools, to the campuses. It's wonderful to just walk around and experience that and feel the energy.
Yeah, absolutely. They fuel us.
Yep,
And that energy keeps growing and growing and growing.
that's right.
And then, John, we did have the pleasure of working with each other in the past, and I was thrilled to know that you wanted and were interested in coming to Somerville and to the Argenziano, because I knew everything that you would bring to it. And in a very short time, it is very clear the difference that you're making in that school community. So maybe share a little bit about your...
Yeah, thank you so much for saying those kind words. I appreciate it. I think first and foremost, which makes this such a great opportunity is I grew up here. I grew up in Somerville and Cambridge, so it's just great to be back. Like where we're hosting this show, I used to play basketball with my friends right here at the Cummings School.
Awesome.
And that's how I was able to even get in here. I went from this side of the street through this little alleyway to come this way. And
we should have
gotta,
followed you.
you got to be from here to know that. So it's great to be back home. And a lot of times, even in the morning, I stop and I look and I say, wow, some of us come so far, but wow, I could never imagine that I would have a career where I grew up, and that was an ultimate goal of mine for a long time. So when this opportunity came, it was really a no-brainer. And so prior to Somerville, I was in Boston for 12 years. I was a teacher for about 9, both in middle school and high school. I was an administrator in Boston as well, in Mattapan, and then in Roxbury. And coming in to bring all my skills and learn new skills, because every place is a little different. And I'm happy every day coming in, taking that turn on Washington off of Beacon and passing by my house when I was a kid at 351 Washington Street and saying, okay,
That's great.
time to go to the Argenziano and formerly the Lincoln Park. So it's nothing but a pleasure, and I have fun every day. And the kids are great, and most of the kids honestly remind me of myself, just probably a lot nicer.
Have you found it to be very different going from middle grades in high school to the younger grades as well?
So I was an admin in a K-8 for about 4 years, so I had time for that transition.
Yeah.
At first, when I first went from like high school to K-8, I was in shock when I saw kindergarten students. I literally had no idea what to do. So I went to the library and got as many books as I could to learn how that works, the whole idea of lines and recess and whistles. But now it's become second nature to me. So a lot of things we put in the Argenziano now, just at lunch and recess, kind of show that growth. And we just want to make it a great place for kids to go every day and for families to feel safe dropping their kids off, which I know they do. So we're working hard for everyone every day.
That's great. It's funny, as you know, I'm also from this area. And I was back like a year, and my husband's like, you have an accent now. And I'm like, oh, it's like it's back. It's like, when I talk to people that are from here, it's like I hear it, and I'm like, I know that I have that accent. It's the R's and the L's. But it is. I echo your sentiment. It is special to be back, in the place that was really familiar, and you have a lot of great memories, of. So, as you guys think about your district positions and your school positions, what are a couple of things about, the area you have that you want people to know about, that you're excited about, that you'd like the audience to be aware? So maybe I'll start with the school folks. Like, what's a couple of things at East that you're just really excited about and you want our audience to know?
At East, the sense of welcoming is grounded and embedded in everything you do on a daily basis. It is a community that it takes pride, and you can just see it when the kids are being dropped off in the morning, all the way from the to the 8th graders, family members, parents, grandparents, uncles, high school students with younger siblings dropping them off. The school itself is a multi-purpose facility because it's not only a school, but it has playgrounds on 2 sides, and it's got an amazing soccer field that was just resurfaced with modern plant-based turf. But that's part of what it is. We have on Fridays, the mobile market that comes in on Fridays afternoons. What I want people to understand that this is a community hub, is a community center. It's not just a school. And we're being utilized almost all day, every day, especially now with the high school construction, the athletic teams using our facility. But that's the sense of what I want folks to understand, that it is a welcoming place where everyone is welcome on a daily basis, and we have a sense of community. I'm excited. We're having a full-time family liaison coordinator this year. I'm excited to bridge that gap and continue to grow that with family engagement, collaboration, and community partners. And I've had a great opportunity across the spectrum with that, to work with different community organizers and partners. Almost every day I get a different email, I meet with a different person. I lose track of all the names and all the acronyms where all these people are coming from, but I write them down and then they send me a backup email, and we have different initiatives working.
That's right.
And at the end of it is to make the experiences and improve the quality of life for our students and their families.
That's right. And you have UNIDOS, which is so distinct
Yep.
at East Somerville.
Absolutely, Mary. The UNIDOS program is a dual language program to have biliteracy, be bilingual and multicultural. We get students in kindergarten and merged into the Spanish language all the way up to 8th grade. As an English language learner, as English is my second language, I'm a proponent of dual language education. So I don't have to be sold on that. That's a no-brainer for me. And that's something that we need to continue to celebrate and grow and make it into even a bigger thing. And that's something that we'll have a conversation as the year goes on in the future of what that looks like. And families are wanting, and we have a waiting list for it, as you know better than I do, how much of a demand it has for families to want to be part of that, because they want their students that are first English language, they want them to have the second language. So that's another opportunity for those families to have that. But it's a program that's been respected. It's been around for a long time. There's folks in there working it for the last 15, 20 years, making it to where it is today. And it definitely is one of the fabrics of the East Somerville Community School.
Absolutely. And the way you describe it, because our offices are right there, that's exactly what the morning, I just have this visual, both there and Argenziano, of just so many kids, just, and adults interacting, playing, enjoying, exchanging. And that's the power, right? Like, that's the power of school, to bring people together. So
Yeah, absolutely.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah, so
And John?
Yeah, I mean, it's so many great things going on at the Argenziano. I just being outside in the morning, I got to know people that I haven't seen in years, 10, 15 years. I met a cousin of mine who has a child that goes there, and he's in kindergarten. I haven't seen her in a long time as well. But on the ground, we're really looking at different things that we have to work on. So we worked on a lot of our transitions in the cafeteria. So we've established a lot of great hidden signals for this being silence, this being clean up, this being line up. And the kids are really getting to a great place with it, where at first it took me a couple claps to bring students back, but now with one clap, they bring it back. And what I like to do is send an email out to teachers, say, hey, your group, your class did a great job. They came back together after one clap. And it seems simple, but sometimes it's good to get that highlight during the day. And then in classrooms, we're doing a lot of great work, looking at our instruction, looking at our curriculum, and trying to identify what type of interventions on the ground we need to implement to keep us moving. So we are a school on the move, and the more and more we work at it, we're going to improve, and got a lot of great minds there and a great ILT team that we just met with yesterday, and we're looking at our data, but also saying, hey, what are those tier 2 interventions we can put in right away to start getting progress moving right off the ground. So when we look at the data next year, we're all pleasantly surprised.
It's great. And you guys, for the first time, you will have Citizen Schools,
Yeah, absolutely.
which is a partner that's been at East and has been at Winter Hill and now is at Argenziano.
Yeah, they're great, and I worked with them in Boston some years back in East Boston, and I can't say enough about the program. It is fabulous. They teach leadership skills. The people they tend to hire connect well with the kids. They come down to the cafeteria and recess and spend time with them. So that really makes the difference.
It's great. Yeah, and in the afternoons, what I love about Citizen Schools is just the amount of STEM experiences it gives to the kids, both by bringing in folks from the industry to work with the students, but then just developing that mentorship and that trust you're talking about, John, of like the off times, the cafeterias and the hallways and the classrooms. And so it becomes really an indispensable group of adults, right, young adults in the building that the kids can relate to.
And that's a big move for us, is really taking a step back and getting to know all of our students and getting to know what they need. And because, we have a diversity of students, but we also, have a high population of students new to the country, lower level ELL students, and we want to just ensure that every student is getting the right instruction and the right curriculum that they need to progress.
That's great. Rebecca, what do you you've seen so much, right? In both from different educational settings, but from the classroom, to administration. So, what's your impression now coming into Somerville?
So the first month that I was here, there was this amazing luxury of just being able to travel around and learn the city and meet different people, which is a gift of time and interaction that you just normally do not get. And it was wonderful. And one of the things that really stood out to me is how people are thinking about things in Somerville. Of pushing of the envelope, of thinking about how do we get creative in different areas, and how do we partner with people. And because there are partnerships that are outside of a traditional school space, it's pushing people to then solve problems and interact in different ways, just because of the interaction. And I've been hugely impressed with that. And the Somerville Public Schools are serving a huge diversity of students. And so students need different things, and how different schools are approaching that work and creating those partnerships to serve their specific population is unique in the ways that Somerville is doing it, and how open the district is to outside partnerships. I think that for me has been a great highlight, and meeting all the people. I mean, Somerville Public Schools people are really very friendly and wonderful and welcoming in, both of what are the great things that are happening, and then what are the challenges, and can we think around the challenges? And sometimes challenges are hidden, which means you don't actually move forward. And I feel like they're embraced here, so that problem solving can happen.
One of the things that I remember when I first came in that I was so impressed with was the level of interaction with community partners. I've never seen that anywhere else that I've been. And that is so critical to the work that we do. You were talking earlier about, talking a little bit about your background, and it was clear to me that your background is just really well aligned with the work that we're doing in the district. Can you talk a little bit about how you might envision using your background to support student-centered learning and just elevating student voice?
So one of the projects that I worked on before coming here, which was definitely one of my favorite experiences, was helping align teacher learning and student learning, so that what teachers were learning in professional development was directly aligned with the same language that students were learning through. And the idea was to, we use a lot of energy trying to get teachers and students moving the same direction, just because it's two different languages that are often being spoken. And the other thing is having students push back on education, right? Questioning and realizing what their part in the education process is, both in how they interact with it, and also that they have the right to demand certain things of the service. And so in thinking about how kids are engaging with content through that lens of pushing back and thinking about the information, it leads very deeply into issues of equity, of which students step up to engage that way and how they push. And Somerville is doing a huge umbrella push around the idea of equity, in that it's infused in everything. And often, it's introduced as an initiative, which means you get these pockets.
That's
but
right.
really, it's the full picture.
philosophy.
Right?
That's
Yeah.
It's the underpinning.
And so I've seen that in classroom aspects and in professional development given to teachers, but now seeing it across all the sectors, right? How does health come into that? How does housing come into that? How are we thinking about kids when they're first born, all the way through when they leave us at grade 12, and then realizing that they still have to keep developing and pushing and advocating for themselves.
Right.
So what are the skills that are being developed in the classroom so that they can do that? There's only so far you can get with content. You gotta have the skills as well.
No, I think you're right. That's the city and the district working together and connecting all those services is so critical. Really quickly, 20 seconds. Just give me a couple of words about what represents your philosophy of education. Just like 20 seconds. Chad.
Holistic and student-centered.
John?
Teaching and leading from the heart.
Oof, that's good.
Passionate about the work and comprehensively looking at the whole child.
Providing opportunity for choice.
Wow, that's something to write these down. This is great. I mean, it's clear to me as I hear each of you speak, just why at this moment, like, and this is just how I feel, but why at this moment within our district we have so many talented people poised to support the students and the staff in a way that I think is more than ever before.
I agree.
And each of you kind of brings that to it. For the audience, you can reach, I'm sure you will see at the Argenziano, John and Obed at East Somerville, and certainly within the district, you at any point will see, I'm sure, Mr. Mazza and Rebecca. So believe it or not, we are done almost. We have a couple of announcements which I know that we want to make.
We are always surprised. Just a reminder to please stay connected, follow us on social media, and visit our website to learn what's happening in our schools and in the district.
We have open houses that are coming out, and so just stay tuned to your websites for your respective schools, or just check in with the staff and your teachers. But they are, if you haven't had an open house, you will have one very soon. Please come out to the schools. It's so wonderful to see everybody in the mornings coming out, meeting other parents, creating that social group. And if you have a child of a very young age, please check out our play groups and our SFLC and find a way that you too can get engaged and involved. Because the stronger we are as a community, the stronger our schools will be, as is evidenced by our wonderful guests today.
That's right.
So with that, thank you very much, and we'll look forward to seeing you next month for Our Schools, Our City.